You may be wondering why the oil price is shooting off the charts and why nobody told you to expect this and why nothing was done in advance to prepare for a situation where running cars, driving trucks, flying planes would become ruinously expensive. First, let's look at the chart. Here's a graph of oil prices from 1996 to 2008. I don't have the absolute latest figures where it's shot up to $140 a barrel. You can see there's a pretty steep increase even without that. And some people, of course, are saying, oh, it's all just speculators, it's a bubble. But if you go back to 1979, the last time when we had a similar increase, the price shot up then to $39 a barrel, which in inflation-corrected terms is around $100 a barrel. So we are around 40% ahead of that already. So I don't think you can write it off as just a bubble, just speculators. I'd like to introduce you to the concept now of peak oil. This was a concept worked out by a scientist working for Shell. In 1956, he made the observation that oil extraction lagged around 20 to 25 years behind oil exploration, and based on this he predicted that around about 1971 US oil production would peak. And he was widely ridiculed at the time, but let's have a look at what actually happened. The red vertical line is when Hubbert made his prediction, the blue line is his model, and the black dots are what actually happened. Who's laughing now? Well, what about the modern era, where oil around the world is potentially going to run out? Of course, the US situation is not quite the same, because when we ran out of cheap oil in the US, it became possible to simply shift production offshore. But we only have one planet. When it starts to get too expensive to extract oil, for example, in Saudi Arabia, well, there are other places where it's more expensive to extract oil. But even so, if you look at the predictions, there's a whole range of different models which put the peak at anywhere from around about 2008 to around about 2016. This picture shows the whole range of models, including some which put the peak way off into the future. Well, how could the peak be way off into the future? Well, it's becoming possible to extract oil from places where it wasn't feasible before, like the Arctic. And to that point I pause and ask, why is it suddenly possible to drill for oil in the Arctic when it wasn't before? Could it be something to do with this? NASA's temperature record from 1880 to recent times, which seems to show a reasonably big increase. So, answer this for me, please, if you will. If you are one of those pro-fossil fuel types who believes that global warming isn't real, how do you square that with the fact that you can now drill for oil in the Arctic? Coincidence? A.